Good day, plant people. So welcome back to the Southerners Northern Garden. It is March 12th. It's beginning to warm up a little bit. It's about 50 degrees today, but I'm getting really anxious because I'm seeing a lot of other YouTubers clean up and prune and do that type of stuff. So I think it's still a little early here. We still have about a month and a half until we get our last frost. So I'm going to start doing those things, but today I want to talk about a little projects I got going on in the garden that are coming up. I've showed you the arborvitae. The arborvitae right here that looks so awful, I'm actually have decided to completely remove that. I'm going to replace it with the arborvitae we have back here that we planted just to have an extra one in place in case something happened to them. So that's why you plant extras, and then I'm going to move it. I think now will be a good time. So today I'm not moving this. What I'm going to do is take a shovel and go around the outside perimeter of that arborvitae. That will cut the roots but allow it to stay in the ground so the roots can, it's kind of like a root pruning type method I've seen. And while it's cool, I'll move it in a couple weeks. I just don't think this one right here is gonna look very good. It's still alive, but there's so much dead in it and it looks just so awful. I've just decided to completely remove it. So I also wanted to show you something else. I don't know if y'all have this problem in your garden. We don't have a whole lot of trees in our yard. I'm planting some. So we don't have a lot of squirrels, but there's a large bank behind our house that have two huge oak trees. And I think squirrels are the culprit and they're eating my roses. So check this out. They're gnawing them off at the ground. I had this issue last year, but I didn't know what they were. And so I'm gonna have to find something to resolve that. It's almost time to prune my roses, so I'm not terribly concerned about it, but I may put down some organic, like keep out, pest control type stuff just to keep them out of the way. Because they've even got up here in my earth boxes and they've chewed the raspberries that I have here. So today I wanted to introduce you to probably my most favorite project that's going to be this year. I think I mentioned in a previous vlog that I've tried to grow dahlias, and dahlias just don't do very good here in the ground. We have really bad clay soil, so I planted quite a few last year and they completely rotted and didn't come up. So I've decided I'm doing a cut flower garden, and I'm going to do it in a little raised bed. And I want to introduce you to this company I found that I'm really excited about. So the company's called Vego Garden. They have this neat modular bed system. You've probably seen the metal beds online. They screw together, and this one in particular is 17 inches tall. So let me show you what that looks like. So you can see how the bed's gonna be laid out here. This bed in particular has 10 different configurations. So here are the configurations you can see. I'm going to do this 9.5 by 2.5, and I'm going to run a cattle panel down the center and plant dahlias on each side of it. So this entire bed will be a bed of dahlias, and it's going to be beautiful, and I'm really excited about it. So there's not a whole lot to it. It comes in these panels. There's 4 end pieces, these panels here, and they just screw together. So I decided to go this route because wood has gotten incredibly expensive, and I'm not interested in putting another wood bed in. This is very light. The entire box was 40 pounds, so I just carried it back here, and it'll take me a minute to get it together. And after I get it together, I'll show you what it looks like. Be right back. So everyone, the bed is complete, and I'm super excited about how it looks. So let me turn this around and show you how it's coming along. So as you can see, it's fully assembled. I chose the 9.5 by 2.5 configuration. You can either get it in, I think there's a green color and a white color. I would have preferred a gray color, but they currently do not have a gray color available. So this bed is very nice. I didn't go with wood simply because wood prices are on the rise. Wood rots. This has a 20-year expected life, so it'll last quite a long time. And they thought about everything putting this bed together. So it has braces in the center. So when you fill it with soil, it won't expand on the sides. So if you do the 4 by 8 configuration method or this 9.5 by 2 configuration, you can put those in there. I bought the 10-in-1 raised bed. There's also a 9-in-1. That just means that's how many different configurations you can assemble it in. So because I was doing the 9.5 by 2.5, I used all of the pieces that came with it. If you choose some of the other configurations, you might be better buying the cheaper bed, which is, I believe, is $199, and you can assemble 9 different configurations in that one. The 10-in-1 allowed me to do this longer length that would fit a cattle panel and have a little extra extra space on each side. The edges of the top and the bottom of each panel are rolled, so you don't cut yourself, but this is sheet metal. The end edges right here are not rolled, and so you have to be careful when you're assembling it. One great thing about this bed is they provide a nice, very, very nice rubber edging. So when you're done, you attach this to the top. I need to cut it off so it will meet perfectly here. And the bed itself is relatively light, so even though it's fully assembled, like I said earlier, it's around 40 pounds, so I can pick it up and move it to wherever I want it to be in this final destination. I'm not completely sure of where I'm going to put the bed yet. There's an apple tree right here that did not survive. I'm going to remove that, cut that down, so I will probably scoot the bed over. I got to keep in mind that these arborvitae will get quite large, and I don't want them to provide a ton of shade on the bed, but this is east-west facing, so the sun's going to come up over here and set over here during the summer. So I'm really excited about the prospects this is going to bring. I may either leave it here or I may put the bed down there. I kind of keep sick plants in this area on a spray drip during the summer, or plants I purchased but don't have anywhere to put yet. But I have this triangular space. I can put it pretty much anywhere. So you may be wondering how I'm going to fill this bed. I'm going to do a Hügelkultur method. So my neighbor has some old firewood she's not going to be using any longer, and I'm going to take it and cut it up and put it in the bottom, and that will act as kind of a base and retain some moisture and break down over time. And then I have some scraps from planting pumpkins this past year along the ground here, and then I'll throw that in there. And I think what I'm going to do is go around and clean up any perennials and throw all of that waste in there as well. And that should fill at least a good half of the bottom of it, because the 9.5 by 2.5 will hold, let me check the box, I think it's 34 cubic feet of soil, which is quite a lot if you're trying to truck in soil. And I'm going to actually, after I fill in halfway with those scraps, I'm going to go to Costco and buy some bagged organic garden mix by Whitney Farms, and it's a great garden mix. I've used it before, and I'm going to fill it up the rest of the way, because in the future, if I decide to move my dahlias, or after I amend my beds enough that are around the house that they're not so ridden with clay and some of that clay is broken up, I may plant some somewhere else. So this could be a vegetable garden in the future, and I could plant tomatoes in it or anything else. I'm just really excited overall about the prospects this is going to bring to the garden. I expect it's going to be very beautiful this year. I've got a lot of rare dahlias and a lot of new varieties coming, since I had to replace a lot of mine that rotted last year. If you're interested in purchasing one of these beds, I'll put a link in the coupon code below. You can get 5% off. Shipping is free, so keep that in mind. And there's different configurations. If you don't want the 9.5 by 2.5, you can do a perfect 4 by 8. You can assemble smaller sizes, and you can even not use all the pieces. Assembling it in the 9.5 by 2.5 section did allow me to use all the pieces, but you can assemble it smaller if you like as well. But even if you're not interested in purchasing a bed right now, check out their website. So there's an Australian company called 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 that makes very similar beds. This is a US-based company in Texas. That's one reason I chose them, and the shipping was free. If you have mobility issues, they have a garden bed design that's twice this height. So it'll take quite a lot of soil to fill it up, but it's almost waist high when you get it assembled. So those are great options if you have a bad back and you can't bend over or something like that. So it's another day, and I was going to do this video in one part, but doing this type of stuff alone can take a while. So I wanted to catch you up to where I am. So I assembled the bed, and here's what it looks like now. So I took some of my neighbor's old firewood and I put it in the bottom to assemble kind of like a Hügelkultur method. So I just put old firewood in here, and it's just been sitting around for 2 years at the very bottom. And then I'm going to put some perennial clean up in here and some waste. I've got some old pumpkin vines over there I will put in here. Then I'm going to combine the Whitney Farms from Costco organic soil. This is not a potting soil, this is a planting soil. So it's originally intended to go in the ground. If your local Costco may have it, this is the number right here. Usually Costco carries this and this in my area, and this is a potting mix. So because I'm going to be planting dahlias in here, I want it to be sufficiently moist but not soaking wet because the tubers will rot. So I'm going to combine these two in here. I got 16 total bags. If you were not putting this in the bottom, 16 bags would not be enough to fill this whole container. However, because I've got the wood in here and I'm going to put some like debris at the bottom that will break down, 16 should be enough. If not, I will run and get some more. My neighbor was nice enough to allow me to borrow his truck because I can't fit all of that stuff in my tiny SUV. So we're going to get started doing this, and I'll show you what it looks like. After I'm finished, I'm going to put a cattle panel that I obtained last year but never used at the top, and so that is how we will tie in my dahlias this summer and this summer and spring when they get going. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I just took I had a kangaroo pop-up bag that I had scraps that I'd cleaned up some perennials. So there's some lavender in here, hellebore leaves, some onion that I'd pulled out of the garden, and just other perennials that I'd cleaned up. So far, I've still got a lot to go cleanup wise. So now I'm just going to tear open these bags right here and get started filling it up with potting soil. This looks kind of high, and this soil will kind of weigh down some of this and fall through the cracks, and eventually this stuff will all break down as it gets watered. It gets very hot out here on this landscaping fabric, this DeWitt landscaping fabric. So it'll break down, I think, fairly quickly. And even if it doesn't, I know I've got enough soil in there to keep everything good enough for these dahlias, because these are going to be first year clumps. They're going to be relatively small, and I'll probably have to add some soil to this area next year, because they'll be, as this stuff breaks down, there'll need to be more soil added on top. So it'll just be lots of good organic matter to feed the soil and the bacteria and the fungi and everything else to produce me some beautiful blooms this fall. All right, gonna get back to it. Okay, everyone, I don't know about you, but I absolutely love it. So this is gonna allow me to plant quite a number of dahlias. I'm gonna have probably more than I can fit in here. I over-ordered because I got excited, but I'm gonna try and cram as many as I can in here. I've read online and I saw some videos. Some people plant them as close as 8 inches apart, staggered. That's gonna greatly depend on how big the blooms get and all. And I only used half the soil, so I haven't watered this in. When it gets watered in, I will probably have to add some more bags of soil, and of course, probably later in the year or next year, have to add more bags as all that organic matter breaks down. But that's good. It's supposed to rain later this week. I'm not gonna water it in myself because I haven't pulled out my hoses yet, because we still have another good month to 6 weeks until our last frost. So in the meantime, I could also use the soil. I bought this other bed from Menards and it was only like $45. I'm going to plant some more Egyptian walking onions in that bed. I'm really excited about. I've planted them in just a earth box container for the past year and a half, 2 years, and they've done great. But I love using those as green onions. I haven't actually pulled up a bulb yet because I'm trying to get them to propagate so I can get a pretty good patch of them. But they are excellent green onions added to soups and salads and anything like that. So I'm really excited how this turned out. As I mentioned, this bed specifically from Vego Garden, you can purchase below and use my coupon code for 5% off. This bed is their most versatile bed. It's called the 10-in-1, and it was $250. That is quite expensive, but it is the most versatile one, so you can form it into 10 different sizes. They have a 9-in-1 that's $50 cheaper, but they also have some great options. If you want a circular bed, they have some nice circular beds as low as like $120. And for a 17-inch high bed that has a 20-year estimated life, it's kind of hard to even buy wood with the price of wood increasing, getting a value that much, and then you got to assemble it and worry about the wood splitting, or if you don't have a good source for wood. I will be switching to these metal beds as they need to be replaced because these are amazing. So just as some updates, I cleaned out this bed. I pulled out the old daylily stems. I have not trimmed the hydrangeas yet. I will probably be doing that next weekend. They're just now starting to bud up, at least the Annabelle type hydrangeas are. The paniculattas I have will still be a few weeks away before they start budding up. It takes quite a while here in Ohio for them to get going. But I cleaned up all the daylily mess and pulled up all the grass. When we had the patio built last winter, to my dismay, the landscaping company or the patio people threw grass seed down everywhere, and it just ended up all in my garden beds and it sprouted over winter. So I had to clean that up. Just as some more updates, I've still got to completely clean out this bed. I haven't gotten to it yet. It should be fairly quick to do. I just need to cut down the perennials, and these hydrangeas will go with the other paniculattas. So that'll take some time, but all of these perennials will be cut down. I have been really impressed. I got these bulbs from Costco, these anemones, and they have formed just beautiful flowers almost all winter. That's a nice blue purpley color. There's a red one as well. So my vegetable gardening space is still a complete mess. I really got to get in here and clean it up. Every year when I hill in my pots, I lose some garden soil because sometimes I use that soil to fill pots up with. So I am going to have to add some extra soil here after I finish adding my pots, but that's nothing unusual. I usually do that every year. I'm hoping to have enough garden space available and get more plants in the ground rather than healing them in over winter, but they're doing quite well. The ones I pulled out, I've got some roses that are rooted that are already beginning to put on new growth, and some just plants that I never got to planting or finding a spot in my garden last year. I'm really excited about these ranunculus. They've been in the basement. They look kind of rough. This is their actual first day outside, so they've only been out maybe 24 hours, 48 hours. So they're recovering. I pre-sprouted them in the basement. They probably need a little bit of water. I need to find a short hose to bring out here and get some water, but it's also supposed to have a good rain on Wednesday, so I may just wait. This is my tiny Egyptian walking onion patch, so I will not be pulling these out. I actually have a bunch of bulblets in the basement that I'm going to be putting back in the mini orchard. So that's where those will go, and I will probably just stick this back there in the mini orchard and hook it up to drip. These are earth boxes. I really love them. I was going to do a whole nother video about them, but that's what all of this is right here. So they're plastic containers, and we built this thing to hold them up, and then they have an automatic drip system that fills a reservoir in the bottom. That's been really nice. I usually keep herbs in here, so I have like thyme and oregano that desperately needs to be cut back and cleaned up. But peppers, and these are raspberries and blackberries. The blackberries are going kind of crazy. I'm really excited this year to see how these do. They're supposed to be a smaller variety, but they're still getting quite large, so I may have to find a new home for those as well. And then I typically plant peppers the rest of the way here, and they love it right here. It gets super hot. This is south facing, and they just bake in the summer, and they really like that. My strawberry tower, I've been really disappointed in. It was a beautiful design, and my father made it, and I don't want to get rid of it, but it's just not doing its job. The strawberries did not survive very well this past year. Soil just falls out of the bottom of it. So I think I'm going to be pulling this out in the coming weeks, and I'm considering getting one of the Vego gardens, the round ones that are waist high, and start with one of those right here. I need to measure and see how much walking distance I have around it. But that'll be a little shorter and allow the peppers to get a little more light, because this dust blocks some of the light to the peppers later in the evening. And if I can't do a waist high round bed, I may just do a waist high 4-foot one or something, 6 foot right here, which will be great. So thank you guys for joining along. Sorry I haven't posted a ton videos lately. Life's been kind of crazy, and it's just now getting warm around here, so there'll be more content. Because I do have a full-time job, there'll probably only be like a video per week, and I may do a format where I do shorter videos a couple times a week, or I may do one video like summary of the week of my activities and just record a little bit every day. If you have any preference of anything you would like to see, let me know, or if you think that format's a good format, let me know. It'll kind of be like a video diary. One video posted over the weekend of, you know, me just coming out and checking the garden every evening. I'm excited about this gardening journey and showing you all the beautiful flowers I grow, because I don't know about you, but I am wooed by the bloom. And one day, that's gonna be on a t-shirt with my name on it. Just you wait. Thanks guys, take care, bye.